What up, guys? We got solar panels everywhere. We got no heat on this Bryant here. We're gonna take a look inside and see what happened. I got no inducer and the blower's running. So let's get our panel off, see what's inside. So we got a Jade. Let's see what we're flashing. 4 flashes. Limit switch faults. Alright, so 4 consecutive limit switch faults. We're gonna want to check our belt and our filters. I'm gonna get our screws out. So let's go ahead and shut it down. I did turn the blower on at the thermostat. It was not heating. It was like 60 something degrees in the space, but I wanted to differentiate which unit I was actually working on. These are fairly new. Nothing really looks out of the ordinary here. The screws are starting to rust, but everything looks good. So let's see what's in the blower section. So we're just single stage. Got wind messing with me. 1-speed blower. I mean, the belt's reasonably tight. Got some pulley wear, but nothing too crazy. I mean, the belt's worn. It needs to be replaced. But it ought to be okay, and it was going the right direction. So why did we trip our limit switch? So filters are clean. I don't see anything else too out of the ordinary. I'm just looking for anything maybe with the duct or anything that might be going on there. That's some big duct there. I wouldn't think it's a duct issue. Here's our limit. We're tight. No rub outs. We would have blown a fuse if we had a rub out. So I guess let's start it back up, and might have to take a static pressure reading, but we'll get a temporize on it. I might have to get my probes just because of where that duct is. I'm kind of in a bad spot if you're going right inside this panel, but we can get fairly accurate. Heat exchanger looks alright. Like I said, these things ain't that old, so let's cycle it back on and see what happens. Lockout's gone. We should get a call. Not economizing, can't hardly read these things. So I don't have a W1 in right now. Next air temp's 48 degrees. Coming up, showing 52. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's set the probably time delay in the thermostat. I killed power, so should cycle on here shortly. Fired off, no problem. Probably gonna need to check that gas pressure. 40, about 49, 50 degrees coming in. Economizer damper does look like it's closed. Might be partially open, but so we'll get a temporize here, and if I need my probes, I'll grab them. I'm gonna be a little bit off, but let's see where we get. So she is getting pretty hot. The temporize rating is 30 to 65, and I was at 50 degrees coming in. So I'm on the upper end, getting towards 70. The only other thing I noticed, this is 2-stage, so I've got a high and a low fire, and I fire now with my call for W2. So let's grab probes and a manometer and get on this, check this gas pressure and make sure it's set correctly. And then the only other thing we could do is speed up the blower if we needed to. 4.4 amps. I don't know what the blower's rated at. So indoors 6.9, 6.7. So I've got room in my amp throttle to speed this blower up if I need to. Let's see what our actual voltage is. 212. Alright, so let's get manometer, maybe my probes, because I mean we're going to trip the high limit again. So I'm just watching here before I ran off. So if I hold my probe down in there, I'm right on that 65 degree mark. So we might be okay. I don't know why we would have, I mean we're close. We're on the high side, but when I had it like this, I think I'm touching that heat exchanger because it starts to climb. Like I said, this is just a bad spot the way that duct is. So we're gonna watch it for a little while. I'm gonna grab my probes and manometer like I had planned on, but I was just trying to get an accurate reading, and I was sitting right about that 65 degree mark. So we're gonna let it run while I go grab some stuff. We'll see what our return air is, and then hopefully just a slight gas pressure adjustment, maybe a slight blower adjustment. We can get this thing within range, because I'm on the top end of my range now, so everything looks like it's okay. Maybe just never started up and never adjusted properly. So I pulled my W1, W2. Should still have a call from the thermostat for both. You can see I've got two adjustments: high fire, low fire. So we're going to hook up W1 first. We'll adjust our low fire to 2 inches water column, and then 3.5 on high fire. I'll go ahead and give it a W1 call. 2.15, which is pretty damn close. Give it a W2 call. It should go to high fire. High fire with 3.6. There at 3.5, and then we'll watch that temporize. See where we go from there. We need to adjust the blower we can. I think we're going to be okay. Actually, so I'm showing a 68 degree return air, so my probe wasn't in the return air very well either. This is drawn from down, it's the second floor. But I got my probe all the way inside. Same way here, I'm all the way inside, so I'm getting a more accurate reading. Alright, so gas pressure's set. I'm showing about 50 degree rise on my probe that's all the way down in there, but you saw how that duct, we've got a flat duct here and then it drops down. So this is probably, I mean, this is around my heat exchanger, so I'm getting some air trap there. And it might be part of that Might be part of my issue, is that air's getting trapped right there, and my high limit's just right here. So I'm gonna speed the blower up a little bit, because if I go by this, it looks reasonable. I show 120 and I'm showing 130, so I'm about 10 to 15 degrees warmer right there in that cavity. At least we know the gas pressure's correct. I'm gonna leave it as is, cycle it back off, and then we'll see if we can adjust our blower. So we did verify. I don't know how well you can see, but it's 7.9, 7.4 amps. So you can see that belt's riding down in there pretty far. So we're going to loosen this set screw and see if we can't turn clockwise. We're going to rotate it in, and then we'll count our turns on that flat spot and get it locked back down. We'll probably just go in 1.5 turns at this point. We'll just kind of see how that belt sits in there and how I like it. See, it sits pretty far down in there right now. And now that we've adjusted, I went 2 full turns. I like how that belt's sitting in there. I'm gonna have to adjust the tension. You don't want to roll that on, especially if it's that tight. You don't want to roll belts on anyways, but we're gonna get 9/16 adjusted here, and that'll drive that motor. Actually, I need to pull the motor up to loosen it. So we've got all of our bolts on this plate loose. There's 2 on the back side too. And then we're just gonna loosen the bottom and drive these down to pull that motor up. So I'm still waiting on my time delay. 5.2 amps. I'm still well within my range. No need to go too much further. I mean, it really shouldn't. Those are probably 180 degree limits, and I'm getting 130. So I think that duct setup is just kind of screwed up, and it just needed to be adjusted a little bit. Gas pressures looked okay. This thing fired off just fine. I don't know why. I mean, that was 4 consecutive trips to lock it out, which is odd because, I mean, it would have had to have been a long run cycle. You would think with just a stage 1 call, gas pressure at 2 inches or whatever, that I'm not going to get nearly as hot, and you wouldn't think you would have tripped that limit. But we at least made some adjustments, so we'll get another temp rise once it fires back off, and then kind of go from there. So 108 would put me at 40 degrees. So I'm sitting about 42 right now. I'm 120 here. So I've dropped about 10 degrees on my temp rise and my temperature right there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna watch it for a little while longer and just monitor. And then we'll let them know what happened, and then we made some slight adjustments. I'm still sitting about 10 degrees higher right there in my duct, but she's gonna be better off. Like I said, it's kind of weird because it really wasn't that hot for it to trip 4 times, so I'm not really sure what happened. There's nobody in the space, and I think they came in and cranked the thermostat up to try to get some heat in the space, and maybe it was a long run cycle or something. But we should, after a little bit, once we get closer to temp, we'll stage down to stage 1, and we're just going to monitor our temp rise through that entire process and make sure the thermostat satisfies with no lockouts or anything weird happening. After that, a guy got a hold of me. We got another unit down here, so I'm not sure where that one is. It's on a lower roof. I might have to access it differently. Yeah, so this is the front of my building here. There's another lower roof on the back, so that's where I'm gonna head next, and we'll take a look at, see what's going on with the other one that's a little bit older than this guy. So with my blower speed up, I'm reading almost the same, and I'm on both my temperatures down in that duct and right there, so I'm happy with that. We shouldn't have any issues tripping a limit. temporize is around that 50-degree mark. So with my adjustments, we've got it down from the top end of 60 to 65 to right in the middle where I like it. So I'm gonna button all this stuff back up and we'll go find that other unit. So the last thing I'm doing is just checking my vents. These do have butterfly dampers up in there. All of them look like they're open. If we have any more issues out of it, everything's clear on my returns, but just want to make sure all of them are open. If we have any more issues, we may have to get above the ceiling and just see the duct up top, because I'm sure it's probably pulled tight and stretched out pretty well. This is an old building, so there's no telling what you find when you go up above the ceiling in these things. But we are just about up to temp, so we're going to set it back down to normal and just verify all my vents. We ought to be good everywhere else. Let's go find that other unit. Looks like we got some old Goodwins. He turned the blowers on the two that were working. This is my guy that's off. So we got power on. Let's get the panel off and see what's going inside this guy. So my LEDs are back there. I have no active lockout. So let's see. Should have voltage because I've got an LED. I do. No call for the blower. Where's my W1? Right there. No call for heat. Huh. W1, W2's got a jumper. That looks like a factory jumper there. So let's go find out. Let's go find the thermostat and find out why we don't have a call for heat. We'll read over our tag here and see what's happened in the past. So we're in reasonable shape. Belt's tight. Nothing too out of the ordinary. This is a 3-phase motor. We need to get some insulation, something to hold that insulation up. But that really shouldn't have affected me. My wheel's dirty. Obviously this thing's old, but rotation's correct. So now let's go investigate our thermostat. We'll look at the heat exchanger and stuff too. Heat exchanger is rusted, but I don't see any holes or any cracks. I scraped my seams and there's no real soft spots. So this heat exchanger ain't got too many more years in it, but it seems okay right now. It says heat's on. It's not. We're gonna keep investigating. Something's not right here. He swapped the face with another one that was supposedly working and said it didn't work. So, what's that? I've got a call now. I don't know how. I'm not sure what the hell's going on here. It was sitting there. Huh. Well, that's weird. And you can see the thermostat looked like it should have been calling for heat. I'm not gonna let it run like this long. I just want to watch the blower kick in. I don't have an explanation for that one. I just pulled it off the wall, looked at the wires and the terminals, and plugged it back on. So we might have a thermostat going bad. Yeah, there goes the blower. Alright. I gotta get the insulation fixed there, and then we'll cycle it back on. We'll get a temporize on it. I'm gonna have to think about that. What do y'all think? It's weird. Thermostat looked like it was calling. It's almost got to be the relay and it's stat. I heard something clicking here too. I don't know exactly how. Looks like it just feeds up into the board. And everything's tight. I'm not pinching insulation or anything. So anyways, let's go from there. Let's fix our insulation first. So nothing too unusual in here. This is the worst design. The blower door's got to come off so you can get this panel out. Freaking flame sensors all the way back in there underneath of the inducer motor. So I mean, really, you need to tear this whole burner section out to access anything. But I mean, it looks like somebody's been in here and cleaned it at some point. The spark igniter doesn't look bad. There's some rust, but there's gonna be. So it fired off. I'm gonna fire it off and we'll get a temporize on it and go from there. That's just weird. So I've either got a thermostat failing or thermostat relay failing, or maybe I didn't have good contact on the pins or something. That's possible. I've talked to the guy. I'm gonna let him know what's going on, and after we get it temporized, we're gonna give him the option to change the thermostat or just wait. I think he's gonna wait and just kind of see what happens. If it does it again, we're gonna have to have a thermostat, because I can't imagine, I mean, with no lockout on the board, I don't know where else to go. I didn't have a call when I got here. All I did was pull the thermostat off the wall, look at it, inspect it, and then put it back in. So let's get it temporized. So my return air is still coming up. I don't know how well y'all can see. I don't know that you can see. I'm running about 55 or so on my temporize. I'm gonna go down and do the same thing I did on the other one and just check all my supply registers are open. I mean, everything here looks good. I'm a little bit towards the top end of my temporize again, but I think we're gonna be okay here. I'm gonna go verify all the supplies are open and we'll talk to the customer. So get this guy buttoned back up. I'm happy with the temporize. Airflow. 90% of what we do is airflow, guys. You're gonna walk up on basically everything you come up on and have an airflow issue, at least where I'm at. Especially with age, you got a dirty blower wheel, you've got insulation falling, which we did fix. We've got some insulation spray glue. Filters are clean, so we're gonna let this guy go. We'll go talk to the customer and move on to the next one. Leave a tray better than you found it, guys. See y'all next time.